Welcome. That's how my yoga instructor would always start class to me. She'd be like, welcome. Today we're gonna do, and then whatever the flow. It's like ingrained. You know when like things are just ingrained in your brain, like a movie or a show or like a specific scene rather, like something that hits you and you can close your eyes and see it now. That is core memory to me. I feel like that's like the basis of core memory. And another thing, it's like another thing that comes up when we pick things up from people and then we do those things regularly and we're like, oh, that's something that this person did in my life and I guess I picked it up. I think that's a form of love. I think that's a indication of admiration. And we do it subconsciously. That's a really beautiful thing. Many things are really beautiful things. So I have my journal with me. I'm going to be sharing some thoughts. This is a very personal video, I have to say. Personal to what I'm going to share. I'm not going to go into detail on anything crazy, but I'm just going to have a little therapy chat with you guys. Because why not? I love like freshly washed curls. They're just so like crisp. I like to draw little pictures in my journal and I love to show people them. Like, I don't know, I just like the way they look. Your girl's been going through it, I have to say. Like, look. I don't even really know where to start. Let's start with a very broad thing, but something that I've been having a lesson in for probably all of my life, but specifically the past 2-3 years. I feel that I've been having a relationship with detachment, and I kind of asked for it. So I had a few little situations romantically in my life that I kind of actively brought into my life, and this kind of so I had heard a story of a girl who literally wrote a list of the things that she wants in a partner. She would just pray and pray that she would get this person and that they would just be a part of her life. And inevitably, she would go through trials with different people through years and years of her receiving direct asks, direct prayers about people, like specific things that she wanted from them. She would be receiving them and it still wouldn't work. There would be some sort of issue that would show up that wouldn't allow for the relationship to work because life gets in the way and all the reasons why things don't work, right? And there are plenty of reasons why they do as well. But I thought that story was interesting and it really hit me because I'm the type of person that likes to plan out their life and know what's going to happen next and have like a sense of control. But that's not realistic, right? That's just not realistic. And so I kind of like a few years ago I asked in my prayers for someone to come into my life and do all these things that I want them to do. And I made a list. Things were great when they started out, and life got in the way. And I still have so many questions about that, and I'm still trying to figure out, why it didn't work and what I can do for the next person to come into my life. But honestly, I feel more confused as things have gone on. But I asked for this sense of detachment because I don't believe that love is possession. I don't believe that you're meant to be with somebody, not only with somebody. I am monogamist, I would say, but I don't think that it's about loving someone with an expectation. It doesn't really bring you any peace or any love whenever that's where it's coming from. It's just expectation. And I think that's where I have really strong urges, is like wanting things to be specific, but just letting go of that specification and knowing that I want something, not expecting it, is what truly brings it into my life. In a good way, in a healthy way, or maybe not even in a lesson, however it's gonna be. Acceptance is just the only way that I can actually figure things out, but not because I don't need to, because I'm accepting. So I would get into relationships and it would fall apart over and over again, and I wouldn't know how to handle it, right? Because I'm just a girl, and like I feel like I just have such a sensitive personality. I'm also Leo. I feel like that does play into it a little bit because like Leo has like a hard time with ego. And it's so hard because like in romantic relationships you want ideally to put your ego aside and just love someone, like I said, without expectation. But we're only human, and people will always be flawed and insecure. And I learned a lot about that in the past few years, just how insecurity can work, because it's not a linear thing and it's not a consistent thing, because security is not a consistent thing, especially when you're a teenager, young adult. It's really hard to be emotionally regulated, hormones, science, whatever, while also just not knowing who you are. There's no security in that, there's no stability in it, and looking to someone who also doesn't provide that for themselves is so difficult. And I think I just have, like I said, such a specific desire for myself, like knowing what I want, seeing it, feeling it, but not receiving it the way that I want to be receiving it. It eats away at me. Like, that's not what she wanted. And my sister said something to me recently. It's like, I told her I was feeling like a teenager lately. And I'm 22, so I'm not that far away from being a teenager, but I was like, I miss having a partner. And she's like, okay, but do you want a real boy though? I was like, what? Sure. But what she meant was like a lot of teenage girls have like fantasies and attach themselves to characters in movies and stuff. And it's like, that's what they want, is a fantasy, not real life. And for sure, like, I think that that's what I'm still working through, is just this teenage part of me having such a desire for this fantasy that real people can't provide. And the walls really shatter. They really shatter, and it feels like you're never gonna get that fantasy. But alas, there are ways, and we're gonna chat about that a little more. I need a sip of my tea. More like a gulp. Anyways, my mom does that a lot. She'll be like, anyways. So yeah. Back to the going through breakups and separations with people that I've attached myself to. I've gotten really good at releasing them. I think I've gotten really good at coming back into my body, coming back into my personality, into myself, and just reeling in my energy, because I've had to do it multiple times. And it kind of makes you resilient and strong, but it also makes you untrusting of other people, obviously, with your heart, because it's like trial and error. If you're constantly having errors, you're not going to want to keep trying, you know? But I think that the urge within me is a lot stronger than the lack of trust. Because we leap anyways. We leap anyways. The only thing to fear is fear itself. I hate growing up and realizing that those stupid quotes that I heard as a kid and just didn't even understand are true. Like, why does it feel so weird to realize that? Yeah, but never be afraid to walk away. That's what real detachment can look like in relationships, is like, yes, this is great, this is awesome, I love you, I'm content. If you weren't here, I want to feel the same way. Either way, I'm content. And I'm not afraid to make that decision for myself. So, when I was younger, I think I used a lot of like movies and shows and music to process those feelings. And I think I decided that I was going to connect with people separate from who they are, separate from physicality, through these mediums. So I would make playlists, and these playlists would be an encapsulation of how I felt with this person and an encapsulation of who they are to me. And all I need to do, if I'm missing them, is just revisit that playlist. Now, it didn't always work. I would have to go through more trials with like what I used to cope. I feel like I just have to. And I want to preface that all of these things that I'm saying I'm currently going through, like, this is not the past, but it's been happening for a long time. And I think I just wanted to kind of talk about all of this together, discuss it in a way that is a bit cohesive. I hope some of it is helpful, or like some of it makes sense. And it isn't just a bunch of nonsense. You know, I thought like we're just chatting for real. So, yeah, coping in various ways. Another huge thing though is therapy. And that's why this video is sponsored by BetterHelp. I'm just kidding, it's not. But I wish. BetterHelp, hit me up. That would be cool. But I have the best therapist ever for me. right now, and I talk to her every week. And yes, she experiences a lot of my obsessive thoughts, I think. And for me, it's hard to like not feel guilty about having a reason to be in therapy. But those feelings are meant to be moved around and flowed with. Therapy is just a helpful way to do that. It just creates a little bit less like stagnant energy in my whole being. And I don't really even think that therapy is about spiritual practice. I think it's about, I actually do bring a little bit of spirituality into my therapy, but that's besides the point. I think it's about personality. I think it's just there for, you can create this like framework or analysis of who you are as an individual and what you can do to be a more healthy individual, like mentally, and how you can be kinder to yourself and softer and more generous, and just all the things, and just accepting, because it's okay to feel all of the things that you feel. There's nothing that is wrong, and I think that's what I've learned a lot in the past few years. So when I'm going through anything difficult with these romantic situations, what I found to be obviously the most helpful thing, maybe it's not obvious, is just presence. And some people will be like, don't distract yourself or don't be avoidant. But I think that if you're being fully present, then that's what you need, or you'll know what you need. Because there's a lot of ways to tap into your body and to tap into the moment. And it's just always helped me. I think that's what coping it means to me, is like, what can I connect with here and now that relates to these things that I'm yearning for, but also makes me feel whole without them. Even it can be as simple as like just touching fabric and like running your hand along something that you can just think about the details of. I cannot express to you the power of presence, especially in the circumstance of wounds and healing and just suffering in general, pain in general. The power of presence. The power of presence is unmatched. And let's all take a deep breath. And if you have the ability to be with yourself and to be in this moment and to feel whole, do it. Always choose presence. This is kind of like gonna segue into the second part of like what I wanted to chat about, because I think like there's nothing wrong with attachment. It's just that, and further on in that point, it's not that there's nothing wrong with it. Well, it is that, but it's also that it's so necessary for us as humans to have attachment. If we don't have attachment, then there's no point in being here. Like, there's nothing to learn, there's nothing to release. We're constantly just attaching and detaching as humans, and I think that that's the most kind of special part of it, is the act of flowing with life in that way. But I think I've talked about it a little bit, but like I've had this desire, I've had these yearning feelings almost all of my life, if not all of my life, probably, because my life has lacked stability and it has lacked a clear representation of love, of simplicity in that. Now I have a very loving family. I feel so supported by them and connected to them. And I think that's where this desire comes from, is like, I want that for other people in the world. And when I meet somebody that makes me feel seen and heard and all of the things, like, I just want to bring them into this circle that's so special to me, because it's special to me, and that makes them special to me. And but I think it's important to acknowledge that we are not special, and that, okay, that sounds so harsh, like right after what I just said, but I just mean that, like, everybody deserves that. There's no better or worse, like there's no more value in one relationship than the other, but in every moment we're experiencing this connection that is deeper than anything we've ever experienced before. So why wouldn't we want to hold on to that? Why wouldn't that be the most important thing to us? Why wouldn't it? Give me the answer, because I don't know. Clearly. What do I know? My best friend Brooklyn always says that. She's just like, but what do I know? Just in case you ruin bro's life whenever you're giving them advice. But what do I know? Just add that on. So yeah, like, I think there's this stigma around knowing what you want and actively seeking that out. But I think it's so much more complicated, but also so much more simple than that. Because I know what I want, and I already have it, but I also know that there are more parts of me that want different things, and they don't have that, and they're never gonna stop wanting it. Like, I can do all these things to distract those parts of me, but they're going to grasp for their desires stronger than anything, and it is unavoidable. That is who I am. I think I've accepted that, at least, and honestly embraced it this year particularly. Just knowing that, like, my desires and my wants have value, they have a purpose, but I can't let them get carried away. And that's where it kind of comes into play, is like, I'm not trying to control myself, but I am trying to be more understanding of myself and more graceful with myself, and just guide her in the direction that the deepest part of me wants to go. Because what is for the best will be. And I know that. And that's my faith. That's my truth. It's like, I know that it will all work out. And you do too. And if you don't feel that entirely in your body when I say it, then you have some practicing to do with your faith. You have some practicing to do with your trust. And I spoke about it earlier. Trust is something that I lack when it comes to individuals, but I do not lack it with myself in that relationship. It is not, yes, I have moments of doubt, but there is just this baseline of trust that I've always had. And I think that's what makes us all really connected, is knowing that everything's going to work. Everything does work already, and we just don't see it yet. Pull back the veil. Heartbreak is not unfamiliar to me. I know what it feels like for sure. And ever since the day that my heart broke, truly, it's ached ever since. But when it breaks so deeply that nothing makes sense anymore, the whole kind of like the whole grip that I had on my life and my desires and this person that I am, it really loosened. And I think that the opening of your heart is the result of a heartbreak. And being open is vulnerable. Being open is exhausting, but it's never brought me anything less than a true experience. And I will never regret, taking the leaps that I've taken due to my willingness to take those leaps. I've been in really scary situations. I've been in really damaging situations, but every time it balances out with this like natural support that the universe provides me. So I'm going to close this off with another little thought about choosing patience. And this is just a more recent feeling, and not even thought, just there have been thoughts around this feeling, but I haven't felt it before, and it's just new to me. But this desire to work for good things. I think when we're young and we don't realize that it takes long to receive the fruits of our labor, it takes longer, or I suppose the more that you do, the riper the fruit. There's just so much love within the practice of patience that I've learned feeds me more than anything that I'm waiting for ever could. And it relates to everything in my life. But I know what I truly desire. And if I want it, I'm going to have to wait for it. I know that. And I love that. And in the meantime, I'm going to be the best version of this person that I can be. And appreciate waiting, because the journey is the best part. And there are no rules. There are just no boundaries in that waiting, because we don't get to choose when we receive things. We don't. But let's leap into the emptiness, leap into the space that is patience. Why not? I love you. Have a good night. Thank you for listening to my thoughts. If you stayed this long, I really do love you. I think that whoever you are that is watching this is a beautiful soul, and will always be.